चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णा प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश कारिणे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्व सिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्पद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतिदादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद गुरुन् मद महाधन मद निष्ठारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादाइन अति नीचो च ताकरा हा ना मुंचा कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्ण हृत्कण्ठयो स्फुरः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम हृदयन्तस्व भद्राणि विधुनोति सुरसता नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय। Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. So we'll continue our presentations, and so we have three more presentations for chapter 8, 9, and 10. And then we had like few shlokas from the last part of chapter 10. So we'll quickly go through that. And then I think we'll try to end the class a little early today because few devotees here on the call also. We have that leadership parenting which starts at 1 o'clock. So I'm sure everyone has to leave early. So so let's start off. I think chapter 8 is Gopinath Prabhu. Chapter 8, right?
Can I share the screen, please?
Yeah, I'm making calls. Okay, bro. Yeah. I'm looking forward to your presentation, please. Okay. Let me see.
Can you see my screen, Praveen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So we are reviewing here Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8. So we looked at last time, the background is that at the end of the first canto, Maharaj Parishit, he asked Sukadeva Goswami two questions. What is the ultimate duty of every person, especially one who is about to die? What should he hear, chant, remember, and what should he not do? And then we see at the start of the second canto, Sukadeva Goswami, he starts answering by describing that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate duty. And then he proves the superiority of Bhakti Yoga over other processes. We also see that, so first three chapters of the Canto 2, that's where he describes. And in chapter 4, Maharaj Parishit has further questions about different activities of the Lord, different energies of the Lord, and how Lord, whether he single-handedly acts on the material mode of nature or he simultaneously expands himself. So Sri Sukadeva Goswami answers these questions by citing the conversation that took place between Brahmaji and Narad Muni. And we see that Narad Muni asked these 6 questions, Yadrupam, Yadavisham, and so on. And those were answered in the chapter 5, 6, and 7. And that's where it brings us to this chapter 8, where Parishit Maharaj asked the next set of questions to Sukadeva Goswami. And the answers to these questions forms the basis of the next set of chapters and also various parts of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this chapter 8 is divided into 3 sections. So section 1 is the first to 6 verses where Parishit Maharaj, he inquires about Narad Muni's preaching, whom he preaches to. And then he also glorifies hearing of the holy names of the Lord and Srimad Bhagavatam. And then the actual questions is from text 7 to 23. And the last section is where Parishit Maharaj requests Sukadeva Goswami to speak further and elaborate on these questions. So the first section, the first 3 verses where Maharaj Parishit inquires about from Sukadeva Goswami about Narad Muni and whom he preaches about the transcendental knowledge, and he actually starts to glorify about the glories of the holy name and about glories of hearing Krishna Katha. And these are the 2 highlight verses you've seen before. Krishnatam Shraddhaya Nityam Dinasat Krishnatam Palena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Krishna. The persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly has always taking the matters very seriously will have the personality of God and Shri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short period of time. We hear in the first canto, second chapter also, Shrunatam Swakata Krishna Purnashravan Kirtana Hridyantastvai Bhadrani Vidamati Suitam. And the next verse, Savishta Karma Randrena Swanam Bhavasarodhara Vinoti Samalam Krishna Sadilasta Yatha. The Krishna Katha is the best cleansing agent. As soon as one hears Krishna Katha and all the unwanted things from the heart, as we just prayed, Nashtaprayeshu Abhadeshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. So we see here the same thing. So he is glorifying, the Krishna Katha and how that is the best cleansing agent. The next verse, so these verses, it describes the pattern is very similar as we discussed in the first canto, second chapter. What happens is once we hear, then all the troublesome that is to the heart, that is gone. And the third step is that that in our heart is cleansed of all the processes, our heart is cleansed of all the unwanted things, and the Lord is established in the heart. So what happens once we hear and all the troublesome things are gone away is one does not relinquish, his faith increases, and he does not relinquish the lotus feet of the Lord, and he's fully satisfied. These are two things that happen. And so these verses, they actually establish faith in our heart, in our Krishna consciousness, in our bhakti process. So that's what these verses are. The next set of verses in this chapter are basically the questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking. So this is the rapid fire round for Sukdev Goswami. So text 7 to 11, they basically focus on the living entity and difference between the Lord and the living entity, and also about Virat Purusha. So Parikshit Maharaj, he starts asking, how did the jiva who is spiritual attains a body which is material? And this is what we'll be hearing in the ninth chapter, the first set of verses. That's where Shukdev Goswami is describing that it is like a dream, that a spiritual, the spiritual living entity, how he actually attains the material body, and it is just like a dream. Then he asks what is the difference between the body of the Lord and the living entities. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport about, is it just the size? Is it, just like an elephant gets a gigantic body, an ant gets a smaller body? So is it something similar? Then he asks that Brahma appears from the navel of the Lord. Is the form of the Lord similar to material body of the Brahma, or it is different? And he's asking because many people might be confused that if one species is giving birth to another, both the species are same. So he's clarifying that down here. He's also talking about, the next question is, he's asking to describe about Karna Daksha Vishnu. And the last one he asked about is Virat Purusha. Please explain the details about Virat Purusha. So these are the set of questions he's asking, as we say, father, just like father, like son. So we saw in Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna is asking these questions to the Lord. In this case, it is like grandfather, like grandson. So Parikshit Maharaj is grandson of Arjuna. And he's asking some of these questions, although he himself is on the bhakti path. But within the audience, there are many who are on different paths. So he's asking for the benefit of all some of these questions. The next set of questions is basically asking about Kala and Karma. He's asking about Kalpa, how is the time measured, what are the causes of different durations of time. And some of this we will hear in the third canto, both in the Vidur Maitreya Samvad and also Kapil Dev and Devhuti, Mother Devhuti's discussion. And he's also asking how do various karmic activities lead to various bodies. And some of this is, as we just discussed, that there are many sages in the assembly who are following different paths. So he's asking for the benefit of all of them, Karma Mishra Bhakta, Yoga Mishra Bhakta, and various different devotees. Plus, about Kala, it actually helps. Once we understand the significance of time, then it helps the pure devotees in understanding the urgency of Krishna consciousness and how one should be following it. Then the next category of questions is asking about creation of universe, sky, planets, star, mountains, rivers, and we will hear in great detail in the fifth canto and some of it in the third canto also. Then he is also asking what is the extent and measurement of the universe, which we will be hearing in the fifth canto. What are the activities of great souls, which we hear from throughout Bhagavatam, various sections we hear about all the pure devotees. He's also asking about Varnas and Ashram, which we'll hear further in seventh canto, where Narad Muni is describing these to Yudhishthir Maharaj. And he's saying the purpose of these Varnas and Ashrams is basically to please the Supreme Personality of God. The next set of questions is Yuga Dharma, about Yuga. And primarily he's asking because he wants to know about the Yuga avatars. He wants to hear the glories of the Lord. And this we'll hear in 11th canto, where Maharaj Nimi is describing, or Maharaj Nimi is asking, and now Yogendras are describing. He's also asking about Sadharana Dharma, Vishesha Dharma, and Apad Dharma, which is what is the general dharma, what are the dharma of Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, and what is the emergency dharma. And Prabhupada very nicely stresses on this, that the baseline dharma, the default dharma for everybody is devotional service. That is sadharana dharma. And apad dharma for devotees, there is no emergency there is no emergency dharma because you can perform devotional service in any circumstance. And the last, or rather the next section is about Sankhya yoga and mystic yoga, conclusion of Vedic scripture. So he's asking these questions, like elementary principles of creation. He's asking about destruction and subtle body of a yogi. What are the branches? So we'll be hearing these in the third canto. And the last section is where he's asking questions about how living beings are generated, maintained, and delivered from this world. What are the advantages and disadvantages of performing devotional service, which we'll be hearing further in the 11th canto. And he asks about how living entities merge in the body of the Lord. And the last one he's asking in this section is, how does Lord perform his pastimes with the help of Yoga Maya, and then at the time of annihilation, he gives up without any attachment. So we see that he is very much involved in every pastime, but when he has to leave, like the Mashalira, the whole process, or the whole pastime of how Yadus got annihilated and how Lord left. So he's asking those questions and how he is able to give up without attachment. And in conclusion, Maharaj Parikshit, he glorifies Shukdev Goswami, but we see from the purports that this highlights the qualities of the inquirer, which is inquisitiveness, surrender, inquiry to the spiritual master, faith and confidence in the spiritual master. And that's when we see towards the end of the chapter, the Shukdev Goswami starts answering the questions of Maharaj Parikshit by sharing the conversations between Lord Krishna and Brahma, who received the Vedic knowledge from the Lord. These are some of the key learnings. I'll very briefly go through. One should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from self-realized souls and not to be duped by professional reciters. A pure devotee of the Lord is in family tie with the Lord. Sincere inquiries from the spiritual master gives us immunity from offenses on the path of bhakti. A single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Engagement according to one's qualification gives satisfaction, and hearing from a pure devotee leads to elevation by purification of senses. Pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than mystic yogis, as they have the power to attract the Supreme Lord. Examples is given of Amrish Maharaj and Draupadi. Inquisitiveness on the part of disciple is greatly necessary for a progressive disciple. Hearing the message of personality of Godhead from the bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession can never be exhausting. And secret of Krishna consciousness is in the hearts of the pure devotees. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Rohit. That was excellent presentation. Very wonderful. And it's so nice you actually give an overview of this entire second canto and brought us to the eighth chapter, sorry. And in the eighth chapter also, for every question, you actually had the corresponding section of the Bhagavatam and also beautiful images that goes with every section. So excellent. I also liked all your key learnings that you had in the last. That is like something that you can print and put it on your wall. Key learnings from Canto too. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So we want to hear a few more devotees. If anyone would like to unmute and share any reflections.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very nice presentation. I liked your key instructions and one of those that is single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? I see a message on the chat also.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, I joined late, 11 minutes late, but yeah, it's a nice presentation. I saw the the last one, but it's point is very important, and this is the last one. Ki the Mataji said, I about to say same thing. I mean, So devotee is like help another devotee or another person. So that is the main thing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So beautifully. Sorry, even I joined late. The summary is really nice, Prabhuji. The secret of Krishna consciousness is in the heart of the pure devotee. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Your presentation was absolutely wonderful, and I really hope you share it to the OneDrive site. It's something I'd like to look at later on.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you so much. And especially like key learnings, I think that slide we should make it as an image, and we can post it and we can share it on our groups also. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we'll proceed on to chapter number 9, and Vijay Mataji is doing the Chatushloki, right? Okay. Okay, so you have PowerPoint, Mataji? Okay. Focus.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Mataji, you should be able to share. Okay, you can start, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I'm going to talk about the cream of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before doing that, I will seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, my Shiksha Gurus, Aditya Nayan Prabhuji, and all of the assembled devotees. The context here is that we just heard from Gopinath Acharya Prabhu that Sukadev Goswami is asking questions. Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions from Sukadev Goswami, and in this context, Sukadev Goswami is quoting the conversation between Lord Shri Krishna and Lord Brahma, in which these 4 seed verses are found. Why this is called Chatushloki Bhagavatam? In this Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, while describing in conversation with the residents of Varanasi, he said that the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, our relationship with the Supreme Lord, Sambandha Gyan, our activities in that connection, Avidya, and the goal of life, Prayojana, is manifested in the 4 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is known as Chatushloki, and everything is explained in these 4 verses. Lord Krishna himself is giving introduction of this verse before actually speaking the 4 seed verses. He's saying that the knowledge about me, Jnanam, as is described in the scriptures, is very, very confidential, guhyam. It has to be realized, vijnanam, in connection with devotional service, sarhasyam, and the necessary paraphernalia for that process, that tad angam, I'm going to explain it to you, so you may take it very, very carefully. So let's fasten the seat belts. This is Chatushloki verse 1. In this, the Brahmaji is saying that Prabhuji, this PowerPoint is little messed up, so I will share the PDF. Just a minute. I have opened that too.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama.
So in the first verse of Chatushloki Bhagavatam, this is the verse 39 of chapter 9, Krishna is saying that, oh Brahma, it is I that was existing before the creation, Aham Eva, when there was nothing. There was no material nature, the cause of this creation, and that what you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, Pashat Aham. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead, Aham Asmi, Asmi Aham. So, Sarla, Babuji, are you able to see me?
Yeah. If you want, you can click the full screen. So on the right side top, that arrow mark is there. Right? Below that. Not that, nothing. Just above your PDF, where the arrow mark is there. Just above your PDF.
No, it's okay, Prabhu.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada is seeing that in this verse, the word aham is repeated thrice, 3 times. Krishna is saying aham, aham, aham. So only a person can say aham, I. Someone who has no form cannot say that I existed before, or I am existing now, or I will exist after everything is annihilated. So this verse stresses the personal feature of the Lord. Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami says that this is the basis of our relationship with the Supreme Lord, Sambandha Gyan. While Jiva Goswami says that this verse gives us the knowledge, Gyan, to know the Lord's personal form. When the Lord says that it is only I existed, it doesn't mean that the Lord was existing all by himself. For example, if we say that there is a king, that means that king has a kingdom, he has his paraphernalia, he has his associates, he has his family. Similarly, this verse confirms not only the Lord's form, but it also confirms the Lord abode, his associates, his pastimes. What instruction that I take away point from this instruction for me is that this aham ev indicates nothing other than the Supreme Lord. So one should be attached to the root of everything rather than bewildered by the branches and the leaves. In 9th Canto, we talked about demigods, different devtas, the material nature, and the various energies of the Lord. So we should not be bewildered by the roots and branches. We should be attached only to the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, because he is the root of everything. The Tachaloki verse 2, Krishna is saying that, O Brahma, whatever appears to be pratiyeta, to be of any value, artham, if it is without in relationship to me, it has no reality. Know that it is my illusory energy, Atma Mayam, that reflection, abhasa, of reality in the darkness of ignorance, tama. For example, considering something for something else is illusion. If we consider a rope in the darkness to be a snake, that's illusion, that's maya. The rope is not unreal, the rope is there, but if we consider it as a snake, it is maya. Similarly, the moonlight that we see in this picture, or the sunlight, or the fire, if we consider it to be independent of Krishna, the moonlight, the sunlight, the energy of the fire, the heat of the fire, they're all coming from the Krishna's Brahma Jyoti, which is the bodily effulgence of the Lord. So that is illusion. Similarly, if we think that, oh, I am independent, I have nothing to do with the Lord, or there is no Lord, or the Supreme Lord is formless, this is all illusion. And so Prabhupada says in the purport that the last illusory snare of Maya is, I am the Supreme. Shri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami says that this verse substantiates the understanding of, again, the Sambandha Gyan. Jiva Goswami says that this verse explains the Vigyan, the realized knowledge. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that this verse explains about the actions of Mahamaya and Yogamaya. Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport that the right conclusion of dovetailing everything in relationship with the Lord is called Yogamaya, and the wrong conception of detaching a thing from its relationship with the Lord is called Mahamaya. The instructions that I took from this verse is that God can be seen only by the light of the God, and the Lord comes from Guru, in the disciplic succession. Lord Shri Krishna is the original source of all emanations. Everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. So everyone should, after knowing this realized knowledge, everyone should become a pure devotee of the Lord and should engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In the Chaturshloki verse 3, Krishna is saying that, oh Brahma, please know that the universal elements, Mahanti Bhutani, enter pravishyanti into the cosmos, and at the same time they do not enter apravishyanti into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. Very, very, very beautiful interpretation of this verse is given by Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhagavata Sandarbha. He's saying that just like material elements are simultaneously within and without the cosmos, so is the Supreme Lord is saying that I'm simultaneously within the devotee's thought, and also I manifest myself before the senses of the devotees in my form filled with love and bliss. So this verse describes the secret rahasam of love for him. And this is the most secret and mysterious goal, prayojana, which is prema bhakti. The instructions that I took from this verse is that the mystery of Bhakti Yoga was disclosed by Brahmaji to Lord Shri Krishna himself, and then Brahmaji is explaining the mystery to Narad Muni. Narad Muni explained it to Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva explained it to Sukadev Goswami, and the same knowledge is coming down in the unalloyed chain of disciplic succession. So we are so fortunate to receive this knowledge in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a sound incarnation of the Lord. So even though I have no qualification, still I have hope, I have chance that I will be able to understand the mystery of the Lord, because it is handed down from Lord Krishna himself in the disciplic succession. The last verse, the Chatushloki, verse 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse 36 of chapter 9, in Krishna is saying that up to this, etat vat, up to the prema bhakti, a person, jignashan, searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search in all circumstances, sarvatra, in all space and times, sarvada, in all space and time, sarvata, and both directly, anvaya, and indirectly. So this is the abhideya tattva, the process by which we can achieve our highest goal, the prema bhakti. So Rajiva Goswami says that this means that angam by which one may attain the confidential goal rehasam is this process is sadhana bhakti. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Bhajan Rehasa says that this verse explains the circumstances favorable for bhakti. So there are two ways of becoming free of unwanted things in our lives, the anarthas. One is directly by following the rules, and another is indirectly by following the restrictions. When we follow these rules and restrictions, they help us to get free from all the anarthas in our life, the material desire, the weakness of the heart, and the offenses. The takeaway point for me from this verse was that even Srila Prabhupada is saying from Vishnu Purana in the purport of this verse, if even for a moment remembrance of Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is missed, that is the greatest loss, that is the greatest illusion, and that is the greatest anomaly. So conclusion is that we should always, always, always sing the glories of the Lord everywhere. One should hear about the glories, one should chant about the glories, and one should always remember his glories, because that is the highest perfectional stage of life. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Haribol, thank you so much for this. Such an excellent presentation. Thank you. So let's hear some feedback, and then I'll share a few points.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for sharing this. I think the seed verses of the whole Bhagavatam. So very nicely presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else would like to share?
Just real quick, please share your presentation, especially the PDF. It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Very nice presentation, and I like the way you related with the other acharyas and Sambandha, Abhyudaya, and Prayojana, and related to two different acharyas' commentaries. That was very nice explanation over there. Thank you so much, Mother. And the presentation was very good with the pictures and all. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Nice presentation with lots of pictures. And you mentioned like all these like references in the like different acharyas and references in CC and all this Sandarbha and all this. So it's a very good presentation.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much, Vijay Mati. It was a very excellent presentation. Chatushloki normally is considered as one of the hard topics, but you actually took that up and you made it like actually very, it was easy to understand, and you actually brought out the commentaries by Vishwanath Thakur, Jiv Goswami, and also Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And also the selection of images in your presentation was really like excellent, like so devotional. Like you see those photos and you feel that that bhav for Krishna. So very, very nice presentation. Yeah. Thank you so much, Fatih. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you so much. So we will move on to the last presentation for today. It's going to be Prarthana Mataji. And also, Vijay Mati, there are comments on the chat box also. You can follow. Okay, Mata, you have a PowerPoint? Yes. Okay, you're the co-host now.
Oh, thank you, Guruji. Thank you so much. Krishna. One second, Guruji. I'm trying to share this.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna, Krishna.
This early. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yes, Mata, you can see. Can you go full screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, able to see
Thank you.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and thank you all the devotees for giving the opportunity to share about the Bhagavatam. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Because of you, we are able to study the Bhagavatam sincerely. Thanks. So I'm going to talk about the second canto, chapter 10. And the chapter name is the Srimad Bhagavatam's answer to all the questions. So in this chapter, we are seeing the background of the chapter, that in last chapter 9, Sukadeva Goswami was answering the questions to Parikshit Maharaj, and he referred the conversation between the Supreme Lord and Brahma, the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, like Vijay Maharaj very nicely presented this. The conversation between the Supreme Lord and Brahma is known as the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and it is said like if we go through that also, it is very beneficial for everyone. We can understand the summary of Bhagavatam in that. And in this 10th chapter, we are seeing that the Lord is the Supreme Goswami is starting narrating the 10 topics of Bhagavatam. Because the Bhagavatam, it is said there are the 10 topics. So we are in the second canto. So it is explained the first canto and second canto. These are the lotus feet of the Lord. So we are in that cantos. Actually, we are in those cantos. And the third and fourth canto, it is considered the Lord's thighs. The fifth canto is Lord's navel. Sixth canto is Lord's chest. Seventh and eighth canto are his arms. Ninth canto is his throat. 10th canto his beautiful lotus face. And 11th canto his forehead.
and the 12th canto is head. So we see that the 10th canto is considered the Lord's lotus face, the beautiful lotus face of the Lord. So here we are seeing the Lord's lotus feet. So it is recommended all the time when we are seeing where we are taking the darshan of the Lord, it should start from the lotus feet. So we are in the second canto. We have just completed that canto. Yeah. So in this chapter, in the second chapter, the 10th chapter, we are seeing that the verse from verse 1 to 9, it is these are the 10 characteristics of the Purana. In section 2, verse 10 to 35, it is the Sarga, the creation of the Virat Rupa. Section 3, it is 36th verse to 47 verse, the Visarga is explained. And section 4, from verse 48 to 51, the Saunaka Rishis inquires about the Vidura and Maitreya Samvada is explained. So this chapter, the verse is very, very important, that Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayaha Manvantare Shanu Katha Nirodho Muktya Ashrayaha. So in this, like, it's the main thing is the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam. So it is said, like, there are the 18 Puranas, and in 18 Puranas, all these, the topics we are going to see, the 10 topics are being discussed, but only in the Bhagavatam, the main topic is the Ashraya, about the Supreme Lord. So in the first topic, we are seeing that the Sarga means creation, the primary creation of the 16 elements. The 16 elements are water, fire, land, air, and sky, sound, form, taste, smell, touch, and eyes, ear, nose, tongue, skin, and the mind are the Sarga. And this is explained in basically in second canto and third canto. The Visarga is the secondary, the sub-creation, and it is the interaction of the modes of material nature, and it is being explained in the second, third, fourth canto. Sthanam. Sthanam means the right situation for the living entities where they can stay and do the devotional service actually. And it is mentioned that the victory of the Lord on the Vaikuntha, and it is being explained in the third canto, 7th, 11th canto. The fourth subject is the Poshanam, the maintenance, how the Lord maintains all the living entities. And that is the causeless mercy of the Lord. And it is being explained in all the 12 cantos. So we have seen all, like, we get all the living entities. There are 8.4 million species of life are there, and how the Lord maintain every one of them. So we have seen then how he takes care, like, even there are the demons. So how he has taken care of very good care of the demons, like the Putna is there, the Vritrasura is there, the animals like the Gajendra and the Jatayu in different forms of the Lord. So he has taken care. So all it is mentioned in the Poshanam, and that we have seen in all the 12 cantos, it is being explained. The second, the fifth topic is the Uti, the impetus for the activity of the Lord. And it's like being explained, like the Varnashram Dharma, it is through that. And it is being explained in 4th canto and 9th canto. Then it is about the Manvantara. Manvantara means like different manus were there and who took care of that special range of the time. And it's a perfect occupational duty, how they have done. That is being explained in the 8th canto. So it is said the Parikshit Maharaj, he was eager to know about the Manvantaras. When he heard about the Swayambhuva Manu, he was very much interested in about all the Manus, how they have perfected their life by doing their duties perfectly. Then the 7th topic is Ishanukatha, the science of God. So these are the incarnations of the Supreme Lord in a different activities with his great devotees. So Isha means the Lord. Like we know the Isha was the Idam Sarvam, that was we all know. So Isha is the Lord and his Katha and his devotees pastimes. So these are very differently, very nicely explained in the 4th and 9th canto. The Nirodha. So it's about the winding up, how the living entities, they wind up and then go to the further journey or go back to Godhead. And it's like it's being explained in 11th canto and 12th canto. The 9th topic is Mukti, liberation. So the permanent situation of the form of the living entity, like leaving everything here and understand their constitutional position as the servant of the Lord. And that is being explained in the 3rd canto and 11th canto. And the last topic is Ashra, the supreme reserve. the supreme source reserve of the cosmic manifestation, and it is being explained in the 10th canto. So it is said like all these other 9 topics, Sarga to Mukti, these are the supplementary topics to the Ashraya, because that is the main topic about the Lord, how Lord has given the Ashraya to all the living entities. So it is said like if this Ashraya topic is not there, then there is no need of all these other 9 topics. So main topic is Ashraya. So it is said like there are 18 Puranas, and all these 18 Puranas, these 10 topics are there. But this main topic of the Bhagavatam is the Ashraya. And that we have to understand through this Bhagavatam. So it is very nicely explained by all the Acharyas. And we are seeing the questions and answer of all the devotees, like how our Ratna Radhika Mati said, the Varyanesha Te Prashna. So all these questions and answers, they are very beneficial for everyone. That's what being asked. And as Gopinath Acharya Prabhu said, very nicely the questions and answers are there. It is very useful for us. So now we are seeing like how the Virat Purusha, through that Lord wanted to do the things. So it is very nicely explained. So like Lord, he wanted to realize, so all these the things were created. So Lord wanted to understand. So he created this ear. Through the ear, he wanted to understand. So the Dik Devta of this is the
sense devta is the Dig Devta, right?
yes, yeah. And Lord wanted to experience the softness, hardness, and the screen was created. And the Dig Devta of is the Vayu. And the Lord, he wanted to see himself. And so eyes were created. And the Dig Devta of this is the Surya. And Lord wanted to drink and eat. So the tongue was created, and the Dig Devta of this is the Varuna. The Lord wanted to smell. So nose was created, and the Dig Devta of is the Ashwini Kumaras. Lord wanted to speak, so mouth was created, and the Dig Devta of that is the Agni Dev. Lord wanted to experience sensation, so the hairs were created, and the Dig Devta of that hairs is the Mahiruha. Lord wanted to perform the activities, different activities, so hands were created, and the Dig Devta of that is the Indra. Lord wanted to move, so legs were created, and the Dig Devta of that is Upendra. The Lord wanted to change his body, and so navel was created, and the Dig Devta of that is the Yamraj, the Lord of Death. The Lord wanted to consume the food and drink, so abdomen was created, and the Dig Devta of that is the Samudra and the Nadya. Lord wanted to contemplate, so heart was created, the Mana, and the Dig Devta of that is the Chandra. So, and Lord wanted to, all these different things were created because Lord wanted to do those actions, so all these things were created. So lesson from this chapter actually, the everything manifests as per the desire of the Lord. And the living entities can think of doing something independently, but he cannot act independently. And living entities are controlled by the senses. Our senses are controlled by the demigods, and the demigods are controlled by the Supreme Lord. And in this chapter, it is said that ORA means like the if somebody wants to have a healthy living, so it's like open air, regular bath, and ample space. This is very simply and nicely is explained in this chapter. And it is said like we want to do devotional service and we want to do go back to Godhead. So by the association of saintly people, one is promoted to the life of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and can go back to Godhead. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Nice presentation. Very nice. I liked your selection of images and how you had like a human being having the senses, and then you had Vishnu having those desires. Interesting. Okay, let's hear a few comments.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I am very weak in computers. I took help of my Prabhu for making the presentation.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Anyone?
Hare Krishna Mataji, very nicely presented. I love the slides, and I like the point that just by the association of the saintly devotees like you all, we can get a life of eternity. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Wonderful presentation, Mataji. Thank you so much. Very nicely organized, and I like the way you explained Ashya is the main thing which we should remember, and I like the explanation of ORA. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, very nice presentation. You were able to see where all the topic of the Bhagavatam and the chapter numbers. It was very good reference for all of us, and you wonderfully presented that difference between other Puranas and Srimad Bhagavatam is the Ashraya, which is the main topic. And I like the picture at the end where you presented the Lord Sri Krishna and the senses and describing the devatas how they are created. Thank you very much, Mataji. Very nice presentation.
I just wanted to say it was very clear that you put your heart into this presentation, and it's not easy to do. And again, you made it easy for me to understand, and I really appreciate that. Again, just thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Mataji, you covered these 10 topics is very well with like pictures. The last one is very good. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. It's a very nice presentation, Mataji. I like how you had all the 10 topics, and you also showed where the emphasis of the 10 topics is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. And we know the point that Jiva Goswami says, actually every canto has topics, but there are some topics which can be divided and said this topic has more of sarga or visarga or so on. So it's very nice you made that chart. And I was thinking how even in Gopinath Acharya Prabhu's presentation, how when Parikshit Maharaj had asked these different questions, and then Prabhu pointed out where the answers are to those questions, right? And in that we had 11th canto, 3rd canto, 5th canto, and so on. And here we see in the 10th chapter, again, when we have the 10 topics, where these topics are more emphasis. So one way, this last chapter, this last section of the 2nd canto from 8, 9, 10, the questions are there, and where or what we are going to read is there, so we already have a reference of what we are going to see in the rest of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was very interesting to conclude with that point. And yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice presentation. Thank you. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I'm very impressed by all your presentations. Very nicely done. And also all the PowerPoints were so excellent. It's so inspired. It's I should now start doing PowerPoints. So nicely done PowerPoints with beautiful images and very nice selection of images, making the topic very relevant. Very wonderful. So thank you to each one of you for taking so much time and putting your heart in preparing these wonderful presentations. We all are enlivened by your talks. And it has given us a beautiful overview of Canto 2. And we see in Canto 2, now we have completed, we are almost this last section left, but we have completed Canto 2. And if someone just asks us, okay, what is in Canto 2? Now in our mind, because of this wonderful overview, we can go back and say, well, there are actually 3 main sections in Canto 2, right? The first 3 chapters are the answer to the questions that Parikshit Maharaj starts the Bhagavatam with, right? So chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And 3 chapters have conclusively established how bhakti, devotional service, and hearing, chanting, and glorification, Hare Namanu Kirtanam, is actually the essence of everything. Right? And then finally also we read about Ante Narayana Smriti, that finally where we are doing hearing, chanting, and we want to come to a stage when at the last moment of our life, we just think about Krishna, and then we can actually go back home. So, and then in that, first 3 chapters, we have also compared Bhakti Yoga with demigod worship. We have compared it with Krama Mukti. We have compared it with the entire Astanga Yoga process, and in that 2 kinds of liberation, right? And so we have compared devotional service in all these different parts, and through that we have come to the conclusion Bhakti Yoga is the highest. So first section, first 3 chapters. Second section, chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7 is basically talking about how Parikshit Maharaj has asked some questions to Sukadev Goswami. After hearing the first 3 chapters, he's asking some questions, and Sukadev Goswami is answering those questions by quoting the conversation between Brahma and Narada. So the middle section of second canto is the Brahma Narada Samvad, right? And then in that we read about creation, and then yet Adishtam, yet Rupam, yet Cha, all those 6 questions, and how the entire aspect of creation comes. But the conclusion of the entire thing is how Narayan, Vishnu, is the ultimate cause of everything, right? And then we have come to that point. So that is, and then also we see that Brahma, he's answered the 6 questions, and then we see the mood of Brahmaji, just like any other devotee. Yes, we want to talk of the aspect of creation. We want to talk about how the Lord is actually manifesting in this entire world. But beyond that, we want to go and we want to talk about the Leelas of the Lord. So Brahma, after answering the questions, then in 7th chapter, he, without any questions from Narada, he just gets inspired from his heart, and he gives a list of all the different, not all, but the prominent Leela avatars, and that is the 7th chapter. So that is second section. Third section is basically giving a prelude to the rest of the Bhagavatam, where we have the questions by Parikshit Maharaj in chapter 8, but then in chapter 9, we have Sukadev Goswami starting to answer Parikshit Maharaj, and then he gives the essence of the entire Bhagavatam in the Chatushloki, right? Chatushloki verses. And then in 10th chapter, we see how we have read the 10 topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which makes this Bhagavatam the Mahapurana. All the 10 topics are there, leading unto the final topic, which is the Ashraya. So the entire Srimad Bhagavatam should be studied with that conception that finally the entire goal of Srimad Bhagavatam is to come to the point of Ashraya, taking shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. And that concludes our Canto 2. Okay, so thank you all so much. So any final comments here? And then this is the last few verses of the 10th chapter. So I'll quickly cover those verses before we end. There are like 15, 16 verses. So it will be like half an hour or 45 minutes. We'll have more discussions. Anything? We're ready to continue? Yes? Okay.